Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to all of you from across the globe, distinguished speakers, respected research scholars, and their students. It gives me an immense pleasure to welcome you to this international webinar on the role of intellectual property rights in circular economy. On behalf of the Department of Studies in Law, University of Mysore, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to each one of you for joining us in this important conversation at the intersection of innovation, law, and sustainability. The circular economy, as we know, is not just a theoretical model, but much needed reimagining of how we design, produce, and consume. It challenges a traditional linear model of such as take, make, and dispose. Circular economy encourages a regenerative approach that is prioritize reuse, repair, recycling, and sustainable design. Yet, as we delve deeper into this transformative framework, we encounter both challenges and opportunities, especially when it is viewed from the perspective of the intellectual property. Intellectual property long have been served as a powerful tools to incentivize innovations and reward the creations. But there are certain questions around circular economy and intellectual property that can be discussed. How can IP system evolve to support, not stifle, the transition to sustainable development? How can we protect innovation that promote ecological balance while also ensuring that critical knowledge is accessible enough to scale circular solutions? And some of the themes can be discussed today by our distinguished speakers: the role of IP protection in advancing circular technologies, and the delicate balance between the IP rights and the public good. The potential of open innovation and the collaboration of IP models, and the last, how IP framework can be aligned with the policies such as extended producer responsibility, EPR, to encourage reuse and recycling. We are honored to be joined by distinguished panel of speakers and guests who brings rich insight from the field of law, policy, and practices. Allow me to introducing each one of them as follows. We are deeply honored to have our esteemed chief guest, Professor G.B. Reddy, Senior Professor of Law at Usmania University, Hyderabad. Sir is a revered academician and thought leader in legal education. Professor Reddy will give us insight into the intellectual property and the public policy that both is relevant for us as of this webinar and the future. We will be honored to hear a perspective from Professor Srinivasulu NS, Professor of Law at West Bengal National Law University of Juridical Science, Kolkata. Professor Srinivasulu also will share his experience about IPR and technology and how we can deal in the future over the innovation and sustainability. Following this, we are privileged to host our guest of honor, Advocate Vikrant Rana, advocate on record at Supreme Court of India and managing partner at SS Rana and Company, New Delhi. Shri Advocate Rana has vast experience in IP litigation and the corporate law. His industry level insights will shed lights on our program and the dimension of the IP address and circular economy. We are also honored to have a distinguished guest of honor, Dr. V. Suraya Narayana Raju from the Hidayatullah National Law University. He is also a scholar and advocate for the legal reform. We are also honored to have, and it is a privilege to have, Professor Themis Chinsu da Silva Rebolo Pedroso, Professor of Law from State University of Londrina, Brazil. Professor, your presence here sits a spirit of international perspective on our program. And the program shall be opened by the president of this program, Professor M.S. Benjamin, the Dean Faculty of Law and Chairman, Department of Studies in Law, University of Mysore. Sir, I would like to invite you. Please open this session and welcome our esteemed speakers. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kudrat. Good afternoon to you all, esteemed speakers of the today program, Professor G.B. Reddy sir, Professor Srinivasulu N.S., Advocate Sri Vikrant Rana, Dr. V. Suryanarayan Raju, Professor Temis Pedros, dear participants, colleagues, friends, and ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome each one of you to this webinar on the role of intellectual property rights in the circular economy, organized by the Department of Law, University of Mysore, Mysore, Karnataka, South India. The webinar topic deals with the issues like intellectual property rights, circular economy, and their interrelationship, and how they contribute for economic growth. The issue of circular economy attracted the attention of the policymakers, policy implementers, industrialists, scientists, scholars, businessmen during the year 1980s. But it existed in the 17th century, which created industrial revolution. Since 17th century to till 1980s, we followed the economic model which was based on make, consume, and throw away. According to this model, we manufacture, we consume products and materials, and we discard waste materials or the products. We never thought that we had to redesign, reuse, or remanufacture, recycle discarded materials. Whereas during 1980s, we started thinking about the circular economy because it aims to minimize waste by redesigning the products and process and allow us to claim intellectual property rights over it. I share some data about waste items or the materials. European Union alone produces 2.1 billion tons waste every year. It is a big challenge. It endangers human lives and harm the environment. Therefore, European Parliament approved the action plan and directives to reuse the waste products instead of the buying new ones. However, the European Parliament is still working on the bringing out new legislation over circular economy. The European Commission has identified key areas which are essential to achieve a circular economy: plastics, textiles, e-waste, food, water, nutrients, packaging, batteries, vehicles, building and constructions. India generates roughly 62 million tons of waste annually. It is estimated to rise further about 14.2 billion tons by 2030. Therefore, Niti Aayog has established a circular economy cell to coordinate with the various ministries and departments to promote resource efficiency and circular economy models. If the government succeeds in this endeavor, India's circular economy is potential to generate market value of more than 2 trillion US dollar and create 10 million jobs by 2015. Even the Supreme Court directed the states to come out with a comprehensive plan for waste management and implement it within a specific period of time and submit its report to the court. So, the Supreme Court indirectly promotes circular economy principles like resource efficiency, waste reduction, sustainable production, and consumption. In view of this, we have organized the webinar on this topic, wherein the speakers and resource persons will speak or share their insights into the role of intellectual property in the circular economy. On behalf of the Department of Law, University of Mysore, I welcome our chief guest, Professor Dr. G.B. Reddy, sir, Senior Professor, University College of Law, Osmania University, Hyderabad, Telangana. A keynote
Thank
speaker,
you. Yeah.
Professor Srinivasulu N.S., Professor, West Bengal, National University of Juridical Sciences, Kolkata, West Bengal. Sri Vikrant Rana, Guest of Honor, the Supreme Court Advocate on Records, Managing Partner, S.S. Rana and Company, New Delhi. I also extend warm welcome to distinguished speaker, Dr. Surya Narayana Raju, Assistant Professor, Hidayatullah National University, Chhattisgarh, and esteemed guest, Professor Temis da Silva Rubilo Pedros, Professor of Business Law, State University of Londrina, Brazil. I also extend a warm welcome to all participants, members of the organizer team, coordinator Mr. Kudrat, and all colleagues and friends who are present virtually. I hope this webinar will be a thought-provoking and enriching experience for all of us. I thank you one and all and welcome you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It is with the great pleasure and immense pride. Now, I would like to invite our chief guest to begin with his insight to the topic. Before we start with sir, let me request Miss Sarah Benjamin to introduce our esteemed chief guest. Miss Sarah, over to you.
It is a great honor to introduce one of India's most respected legal scholars and educationists, Professor Dr. G.B. Reddy, Senior Professor of Law at Osmania University, Hyderabad. Dr. Reddy is a distinguished academician with a PhD in law, specializing in judicial activism, and holds multiple gold medals in LLB and LLM. He has authored 28 acclaimed books and published nearly 90 scholarly articles, with his works on women and law and judicial activism in India earning praise from the legendary Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer. With over 2 decades of teaching and administrative leadership, Dr. Reddy has served as Dean of Law at Osmania, Telangana, and other universities, and has been instrumental in introducing innovative law programs, including LLM in IPR and ADR. He has successfully conducted the Telangana State Law CET and PGL CET exams for 4 consecutive years and played a vital role in legal education reform. In addition to his academic and administrative excellence, Dr. Reddy has represented Indian legal academia on several global platforms, participating in international conferences across Asia, and has served as the director of the Professor G. Ram Reddy Center for Distance Education. His current role as IPR Chair Professor under the Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, Government of India, reflects his deep commitment to promoting innovation and intellectual property rights in India. A recipient of the State Best Teacher Award by the Government of Telangana, he has been an advisor, convener, and member of the prestigious legal and academic bodies across India. It is our privilege to welcome Professor Dr. G.B. Reddy, a true scholar, teacher, and public intellectual in the field of law. Please join me in welcoming him.
Thank you, Ms. Sarah Benjamin. Very good evening, good afternoon, good morning to all the learned participants, resource persons, and delegates. Professor Suresh Benjamin, the Dean Faculty of Law, University of Mysore. Professor Srinivasulu NS, the keynote speaker from West Bengal National University of Juridical Sciences. Then Advocate Sri Vikrant Rana, Dr. Suryanarayan Raju, and Professor Temis Pedroso from Brazil, and other friends. It gives me immense pleasure to say a few words on the occasion of the international webinar on the role of intellectual property rights in the circular economy. As has been pointed out by my earlier speakers, the concept of circular economy is not new. And in fact, our previous generations had realized the importance of circular economy and always insisted on sustainable use of the resources. Today, we can call them the Sustainable Development Goals, which are 17 in number. But the fact remains that their importance was realized many centuries back. And when we are talking about the circular economy and the role of intellectual property rights, probably we are correlating this webinar with the World Environmental Protection Day, celebrated 2 days back, that is on 5th June 2025, and which emphasizes on environmental protection replete with sustainable development. There are many R's which have been pointed out, maybe reusing, recycling, and so on and so forth, as far as the resources, including the intellectual property rights, are concerned, which can be connected to the present topic. And the intellectual property rights legal regimes themselves have realized the importance of environmental protection. To draw your attention to the TRIPS agreement, for instance, TRIPS no doubt speaks about the trade related aspects of intellectual property rights, but at the same time, the reference to environmental protection under Article 27, when we deal with the patentable subject matter, like what can be patented, but no patent can be granted at the cost of environmental protection. We come across many such provisions with regard to the trademarks, and maybe even in the context of designs and copyright as well, because we are talking about reusing and recycling the intellectual property rights, or at least intellectual property through rights, or sometimes even without the rights regime. And by very nature, intellectual property rights are playing a great role in the economy in general, without coming to the circular economy. If we look at the 5 Fortune 500 companies, the top 5, or maybe all the Fortune 500 companies, we find that intellectual property, or for that matter, the intangible assets, they are playing a crucial role in their growth, and their content ranges from 65% to 90%, which is phenomenal. And with the each passing year, the quantum of tangible assets are being decreased, but intangible assets are increasing. That shows the importance of intellectual property rights in promoting the economic growth, be it the developing country or the other, species of countries, developed and least developed. Then, by very nature, we are talking about something new in the regime of intellectual property rights. When we talk about invention, we always say that we must satisfy the none test, novelty, utility, and non obviousness. And when we are talking about novelty, something recycled may not be considered as novelty as far as the patent regime is concerned. Then some jurisdictions have already come out with their own exceptions, maybe giving some kind of second tier patent protection or utility models or economic patents, and which will permit certain benefits under the intellectual property rights regime for limited periods, shorter periods, but at the same time, in fact, enabling the reuse of technology, reapplication of technology, and improvement of technology. Unfortunately, this is not the case in all the countries, including India. Second tier patent protection is yet to become a reality. Innovation certainly promotes the circular economy. At the same time, it may not always attract intellectual property protection. That is the new way of doing the things by using the known things already. And when we are talking about the other forms of intellectual property rights and their nexus with the circular economy, we can always say that, for example, take the case of standard essential patents, SEPs. When we talk about standard essential patents in the patent regime, we are envisaging a situation where the same technology is allowed to be used by different companies in view of its essential character, and whether it is the competitors or others, they use the same technology subject to reasonable and non-discriminatory terms, whether you call them RAND or FRANT. And here, certainly, SCP is one method of balancing the interest of economy, circular economy on one hand, and intellectual property rights on the other hand. Same is the case with licensing, or we are talking about the Creative Commons license concept, especially in the context of digital copyright, digital content. Certainly, Creative Common license and its different facets are in the direction of promoting circular economy, at the same time, at least recognizing the moral rights of the owners of copyright or the licensors. Same is the case with compulsory licensing. And compulsory licensing, because health can be connected to circular economy and IPR, compulsory license also promotes the circular economy because the same kind of technology is permitted to be used by someone else, though it is against the consent of the owner of that patent or patentee, but in the larger public interest. So, this is another facet. Waste management could be yet another facet when we are talking about the e-waste management or biological waste management and intellectual property. Then again, the proper management of the waste will lead to the intellectual property protection in some cases, if not in all the cases, but certainly circular economy. Small example could be when we are looking at skyscrapers, in fact, rising up to so many meters above the, in fact, earth level, and where maybe, tens of thousands of people are living in the same apartment. Sometimes we dread of a scenario where the water may not be available, free air may not be available. Then we have to think about the practices which are followed in countries like South Africa and Japan, where as far as but at the same time, if it is possible to use a technology which is already available, sustainable use of technology, keeping in mind the needs of the human beings and the need to ensure environmental protection is one important step in the direction of ensuring sustainable development. And another important aspect is about the other kinds of technology transfer. And technology transfer, new technologies. For example, people talk about artificial intelligence as some kind of disruptive technology. Whether this technology is certainly going to affect the human beings, those who are aware of it are aware of its benefits and advantages, or it is going to take away their livelihood. And because there are positive and negative sides of artificial intelligence, same is the case of the technology and IPR. And what is necessary is to find a balance between creativity on one hand, then sustainability and intellectual property and economic development. It may be a utopian concept, but at the same time, it is not something which is really, impossible. Another example could be traditional knowledge. Now, if you look at the World Intellectual Property led convention few years back, probably 2023, relating to the genetic resources and the traditional knowledge, you will find that that is in the right direction. And for the first time, the traditional knowledge is being recognized as, in fact, one of the important areas where even intellectual property could be exploited, but at the same time, the due recognition and due maintenance and preservation of traditional knowledge can be taken care of, including the genetic resources and traditional knowledge. So this is another important area: traditional knowledge, indigenous knowledge, including the, in fact, the use of indigenous knowledge systems, the traditional knowledge systems. In India, now the focus is mostly on the Indian knowledge systems. And I think this is one area where one can certainly, in fact, expect better prospects in the area of protection of, in fact, intellectual property on one hand, and ensuring that there is a development and growth of circular economy. So these are some of my stray thoughts as far as the topic is concerned. And there's a galaxy of, in fact, professors and experts who are going to explore different aspects of circular economy and the role of intellectual property rights. And I'm sure that this international webinar would throw light on many important areas relating to the topic and also suggest solutions which are in the larger interest of the mankind. I take your leave now, and I thank the organizers for giving me this wonderful opportunity, and I wish the international webinar a great success. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir, for your presence and your thoughtful speech. Now we are delighted to invite our keynote speaker, Professor Srinivasulu Ines, sir, to address our esteemed participants and distinguished speakers. Before we begin with you, sir, we are delighted to introduce you to our esteemed participants. Ms. Sarah, we are requesting you please introduce this.
It is a matter of great honor and privilege to welcome a truly distinguished academician and legal scholar of today's session, Professor Dr. Srinivasulu N.S., currently serving as the Professor of Law at the National University of Juridical Sciences, Kolkata. Professor Srinivasulu is also a professor of Equitable and a scientific member of the Canadian Institute for International Law, Ontario, Canada. He is also affiliated with the World Commission for Human Rights, London, reflecting his global commitment to equity, justice, and human rights. The Government of India, including the Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Human Rights Development, and Ministry of Transport, as well as with the University Grants Commission. He has also offered policy advice to several state governments, including Karnataka, West Bengal, Assam, and Goa, especially on matters of legal education and law reform. Professor Srinivasulu's blend of deep academic scholarship and practical policy engagement makes him a rare and valuable resource in the field of legal education. His insights are bound to enrich our understanding and inspire meaningful dialogue among us. Please join me in extending a very warm welcome to Professor Dr. Srinivasulu NS.
Thank you. Before I can start, let me bring to the kind attention of all the participants that Professor G.B. Reddy is now appointed as a Vice Chancellor at National Law University, Cochin, Kerala. So that's the latest development. So in his introduction, you guys missed it. So I take this opportunity to congratulate Professor G.B. Reddy, who is going to join as Vice Chancellor at National Law University, Kerala soon. One of the greatest intellectual property professional, my senior, a good friend of mine. I wish him all the best through this platform. Intellectual property rights and circular economy. Whenever I talk about intellectual property law, I have one reservation. I always try to bring it up that contrary to popular belief, contrary to popular understanding that intellectual property rights and the law associated with it is meant for promoting innovation, meant for promoting science, technology, and things like that. But it's not completely true. We are intellectual property law platform is perhaps promoting only those types of innovations, those types of science and technology pursuits which have got some contributions to economy. An innovation which is having economic value is only protected. A subject matter which is worth publication, which is worth industrial application is only protected under copyright. And design which is worth industrial application or having some contribution to economy is protected. Even in case of geographical indications and plant varieties also, some innovation or some traditional knowledge, some new plant variety, which is having a viable economic contribution is only protected. So what I'm trying to say is intellectual property law, those sounds like promoting science and technology, those sounds like promoting innovation, creativity, it is actually trying to pave a way for promoting economy. Because only those types of intellectual property rights which are having economic viability, which are having industrial application, which are having commercial viability are only promoted and protected. I can say that, in fact, entire gamut of intellectual property law is basically meant for promoting the cause of economy. That's the reason why the business people, business tycoons or entrepreneurs consider intellectual property scoring or the number of patents that you have, number of copyrights that you have, number of design registrations that you have. All these things are actually adding value to their business endeavor, or IPR is actually adding an additional value to whatever business that they're getting into. So it is more like a value addition to their business, value addition to entrepreneurship, value addition to economy. That is how it has to be visualized and understood as such. Therefore, if you look at the intellectual property laws structure, ranging from patents till trade secrets, all the 7 different areas of intellectual property law are actually meant for promoting the cause of economy. Right? So whatever patents that you obtain, whatever copyright that you obtain, whatever trademark, trade secret, designs, patents, plant varieties, whatever you obtain, you are obtaining it, you have been granted those registrations, or you have been conferred with that inventorship, authorship, or whatever, provided whatever you have created, whatever you have innovated is ultimately ending up reaching the industry, ultimately ending up contributing to the economy. The so-called the most famous international law on intellectual property, that is TRIPS agreement. It stands like a trade-related aspects of intellectual property law, right? Beginning is trade, then your intellectual property law is coming in, right? So in the knowledge-based economy or the globalized economy that we are living in, which we realized in the year 1995, almost 3 decades that we are into now, we are promoting innovation, we are promoting creativity, we are promoting intellectual property rights, provided these intellectual property rights are contributing to the economy, contributing to the GDP. They should be industrially viable, commercially viable. They should provide an incentive. They should provide an impetus, impact on the economy. For example, you take patent. Generally, we believe that something which is new and innovative, we provide patent protection. No, it's not true. If, however meritorious your invention could be, however academically, scientifically good it could be, if it has got no utility, industrial application, your innovation is not going to be given patent. Or whatever effort that you put in, right, years long effort that you put in will not become will not be fruitful if your invention is not having utility or industrial application. So in the sense, one has to come out with such type of innovation, such type of creative pursuits which are having greater industrial demand, or which are going to meet the industrial needs, by virtue of which they should be contributing to the academic cause or the economy. Of late, probably the last week of May, there was an announcement from Government of India that India perhaps became fourth largest or biggest economy in the world, surpassing Germany. First, second, third being USA, China, and Japan, right? Japan is a small country. It may not be, it may be smaller than Kerala in terms of Indian geography. They are number three. USA, counting their population, they are 38 crores population. We are 150, almost 150 crore population. Of course, China is more or less around 150 crores only as far as population is concerned. So going by the number of people who are there, who are going to receive benefits from the same economy, you becoming number 4 or number 3 is not a big growth in terms of the population that you are having. After China, you are now we have surpassed China. So China and India are the biggest populous countries. So India should stand alongside China or surpass China. Then only your economy, you can say that your economy has actually prospered or grown beyond. You surpassing Germany, you surpassing Japan, you surpassing Hong Kong doesn't matter, because these are very, very small nations. Their population may not be more than 10 crores. And then in the state of Uttar Pradesh itself, we have 25 crores of population. And we all know that after Russia, America, and China, right, in terms of nations, Uttar Pradesh stands out in terms of population, the highest number of population. Such being the case, going by the number of population that you are having, India should become number 1 or number 2. We can say that you have prospered and your economy has has been boosted. And in this regard, the role that your intellectual property law plays is going to be very, very vital. I'll give an example, and I'll second what Professor G.B. Reddy said initially, that in the 30 decades, if we look at our economy, of course, we opened our gates, we became free from mixed economy, we became a free economy, we are allowing foreign direct investment, we are allowing private public participation, and we are trying to improvise our economic quotient. That was not there earlier to 1995. That's the reason why the growth that we have envisaged now, the kind of technological growth that we have, or industrial growth, economic growth that we have, it is because of the fact that we have allowed private participation. Earlier, most of the industries were actually controlled by, managed by government only. Aftermath of 95, if you can look at, except railways, most of the public undertakings now are having private participation. Maybe in days to come, even railways will also have private participation. Now, of course, maintenance of certain railway stations has been already now given to private players, but flying of trains and all has not been given to private people yet. So, except this railways and defense, most of the industrial sectors we have opened up, and not only private participation, we are allowing foreign players participation, foreign companies participation, multinational corporations participation, and all that. And remember, whenever these multinational corporations, foreign players, or any entrepreneur for that matter, any industrial industry for that matter, when they try to venture into or contribute to your industry or your system, they would expect some security, they would expect some guarantee. And this security and guarantee is given through your intellectual property law. Whatever investment that they are making for the cause of commercially exploiting any particular kind of invention, or commercially exploiting any particular kind of culpable work, for that they need some guarantee, they need some assurity, they need some assurance that they will be in a position to reap back the profits, not only getting back the investment, but they're able to make some revenue or some profit. That they can get only when you have given them some incentive, when you have given them some reward, or when you have given them some monopoly. And that is what intellectual property law is trying to provide for. So what I'm trying to say is intellectual property law is providing a platform for these industrialists, these business people, these entrepreneurs who are investing huge amounts of money in any given sector. And in all those sectors, wherever they're pouring money, wherever they're investing money, they would like to get some cease or some freezing or some registration or some guarantee in terms of getting that patent registered, copyright registered, design registered, trademark registered, so on and so forth. That's the reason why, aftermath of globalization in 1995, our intellectual property law landscape has gone through a holistic review. Most of the intellectual property laws we have either gone for amendments or we have brought in new legislations. All the 7 areas of intellectual property laws have gone through sea change aftermath of globalization, because for ensuring that guarantee and surety to the investors in any given industry, you have to prepare your platform wherein you are giving them some incentive, where you are giving them some reward, where you are giving them some guarantee, and that you are trying to provide through conferment of patent, through conferment of copyright, conferment of trademark, design, so on and so forth. Right. So intellectual property law in the past 3 decades, if I can say, has contributed immensely for the growth of economy, and the growth of economy has become possible in whatever way we have perceived it as of 2025, because of the fact that we are allowing not only the private participation in different sectors, foreign players participation in different sector, but we are giving them some guarantee, we are giving them some monopoly. 20 years monopoly in case of patent, life plus 60 years of monopoly in case of copyright, 10 years of monopoly in case of trademarks, designs, geographical indications, and also in case of even plant varieties as well. So what I'm trying to say is in the economic world, or in the world that we are living, wherein the economics is driving the society, economics are driving the politics, economics are driving the nations, and even if you look at the tussle between India and Pakistan of late, why though there are nations which are sounding differently with respect to what we have done. Maybe nations like Britain, nations like US, they are raising their eyebrows, saying that if you go ahead, we will impose sanctions on India, etc., whatever. Nothing will happen to India, because nobody would like to lose 150 crores of consumer market, right? Even if you do something wrong, USA will never impose sanctions on us, because India is the biggest consumer market for them. Not only for them, for an entire globe, India is the biggest consumer market. Right, we are providing them market, and by virtue of which they are able to ensure whatever products, whatever goods, services that they are able to provide, that they are able to create, they are getting market from here. Number one. Number two, India is also getting benefit through technology transfer, or through making India avail to avail the services and the goods and products that the foreign nations are also exporting. So it's a give and take. So what I'm trying to say is, for economic cause, purely because of economic reasons, now international political relations are being studied and shaped. And even with respect to Russia and Ukraine scenario also, not many nations are venturing into, because Russia is again a big market compared to Ukraine. So what I'm trying to say is, it is economics which is driving the entire world. I will take all of you back to our Karl Marx, when he used to say that human relations are economic based, right? We used to laugh at, initially maybe in the 70s, 80s and all, we used to think that this fellow is going overbroad. Now in 2025, right? Every relation, human relation, political relations, international relations, everything is dependent on economics, right? Every nation, whatever relation they're having, whether they're hating other nation, whether they're liking other nation, it's all purely because of economics. So economic incentivization or economic prosperity, economic advantage, right? Whatever you call it as, based upon that, your relations are getting structured. Right. So of course, everybody would like to loom large, everybody would like to grow, everybody would like to become rich, etc., etc. These things are actually, contributing a lot to the growth of economy. And of course, your intellectual property law, through conferment of patents, copyrights, whatever, it is adding value to it. But I will bring your kind attention to something else here. There are nations like Denmark, Sweden, and all, which are not very, very big economies, unlike your Japan, Germany, USA, and even India now being number 4. They're not big economies, but they are the happiest countries, remember. Denmark and Sweden are the happiest countries. People over there live happily. They may not be very rich like US people, like Canada people, like Russian people. They may not be very rich, but they're very happy. So we have to think whether we are looking for ourselves to make looking for making ourselves happy or ourselves rich, right? So it's about psychology now, right? So your economics is not complete without psychology. So it all depends upon your psychology. There are people in this country who live with one staple meal per day. There are people in Mumbai who will run their day with pav bhaji. There are people in Kolkata who will complete their day with one rice and march in the sense fish, right? So it all depends on your attitude. It all depends upon your psychological attitude or psychological mind frame that you have got in, right? So in the voyage of all the 200 nations looking at economic prosperity, using intellectual property rights laws framework for promoting, incentivizing, fostering economic growth, you have exceptions. Typical examples like Sweden, even they will probably there is sufficient, in India. We want more and more, right? So this urge, thirst, whatever, right, is actually giving rise to, of course, in a positive way, more and more innovation, more and more creativity, growth of economy. But on the other way around, countries like Denmark and Sweden, they're actually happy within themselves. They're also innovative. They're also creative people. They also have industry and all that. But their economic quotient is run by psychology. But the other way around, economic quotient is completely run by the business people, the demand and supply rule, whatever our Adam Smith, the great economist, propounded, right? So Adam Smith one side, Karl Marx the other side, and of course maybe people like Henry Main, Jeremy Bentham, who run in between, bringing two extreme thought processes together, right? So what I'm trying to say is, it's growth need not always be measured in terms of your bank balance. Growth and development need not always be measured in terms of what kind of rank that you are having out of 200 countries. How many industries you have, how much of bank balance you have, right? What is your GDP, or how much of salary you earn, all that doesn't matter when it comes to actual happiness. Actual happiness is completely different, which depends upon your sociological and psychological background, right? Nevertheless, our intellectual property legal landscape is perhaps completely poised to promote economy. I don't agree with people if they say that IPR is meant for promoting science and technology. IPR is meant for promoting useful arts. No, it is basically meant for promoting economy. And these are incentives to the industry people, business people, entrepreneurs, that if you have more number of patents, there will be more investment. If you have more number of copyright for media people, there will be more amount of investment over that, right? If you have more number of brand identities, trademarks, and all that, your goodwill will grow, right? So actual valuation of your business and 33% of goodwill. So it will add value. Similarly, in case of industrial designs also, right? So IP segment is actually giving you that facelift, value addition to your industrial undertaking or your industrial entrepreneurship, and that is how intellectual property law became very significant, of post globalization in the past 3 decades. Right, people like G.B. Reddy sir and Benjamin sir, who are seniors, they know it better that the way they used to perceive law and legal segment during 70s, 80s, and early 90s, and how we are now looking at perceiving the law legal framework with the addition of intellectual property law framework is completely different. Earlier, law used to only train people, in civil and criminal issues. Now you are actually controlling economy. You are actually contributing to economy, right? That is because of intellectual property law regime, which is meant for incentivizing, promoting, rewarding innovations which are having economic value. which is meant for promoting, incentivizing, rewarding creative pursuits which are having media demand, right? So similarly, all the 7 segments of intellectual property law are actually completely meant for promoting the cause of economy. Maybe intellectual property orthodox scholars may say that, yeah, patent is basically meant for promoting innovation, copyright law is basically meant for promoting creativity, trademark law is basically meant for promoting, identifying the source and stuff like that. That is only the tip of the iceberg. But actually, down the line, you are promoting that innovation. You are giving patent for that innovation if that patent is commercially viable. You are giving copyright protection to that literary, artistic, dramatic, musical, sound recording, architectural, or cinematographic, whatever work, only when it is having the media demand. Similarly, any design for that matter, or any trademark for that matter, any sign symbol for that matter, right? If it is not industrial relevant, if it is not commercially viable, you are not going to give any protection for the same under the intellectual property law regime. So therefore, it is very crystal clear that contrary to popular understanding or popular thinking, that the intellectual property law is basically meant for incentivizing, promoting science, technology, innovation, creativity, useful arts, and all that. It is actually, literally, potentially, is meant for promoting the cause of economy. Now, post globalization, in the past 3 decades, earlier to 95, we, especially in the Indian intellectual property law offices, maybe patent office, copyright office, trademark office, and all that, the number of patents that we used to grant, the number of copyrights that we used to grant, number of trademarks that we used to grant, if we can check and look back, it used to be very, very few in number. But post-globalization, as of 2024, the records are available now. It has become manifold now. That is because you have allowed private participation in the different sectors of industries, and the private people are coming and pouring money, and whatever innovation that they are coming out with, they're applying for patent, they're applying for copyright, they're applying for trademark, right? So it's because of the fact that you opened your economy, right? You allowed private participation, you allowed foreign players to come in and pour investment. That's the reason why you are having much demand for intellectual property law now. You have much demand for a number of patents, trademarks, and all that. And when we are debating now about intellectual property law, because the industry is demanding it, right? And this is one way of looking at it. Of course, 2024 records say that compared to earlier decades, say that, post-globalization, 95 to 2005, 1 decade, 2005 to 2015, second decade post-globalization, then 2015 to 25, the third decade post-globalization. Compared to early 2 decades post-globalization, in the third decade, that is 2015 to 25, number of patents filed by Indian companies, number of copyrights obtained by Indians, right? Indian authors, number of trademarks and designs obtained by Indian entrepreneurs has become manifold. That means, having learned lessons from foreign players, now Indian entrepreneurship is growing, right? Now there are a number of Indian authors who are coming out with commercially enterprising literary, artistic, or whatever kind of copyright work. A number of Indian scientists and technocrats are coming out with innovative thoughts and ideas, and things are going on like that. So it is adding not only value to your economy, it is growing. It is the reason for the growth of economy. Way back in 95, where we were standing, we were actually trying to sell our gold to pay our bills, crude oil bills to, say, Middle East and all that. Now the scene is reversing. Donald Trump shouts, in different platforms, but when he talks to us, he will maintain a different way, because he doesn't want to lose the biggest consumer market that we are providing to them. Number one. Number two, India is the biggest think tank in USA. There are 35 lakhs of Indians in USA. All are technocrats and doctors, right? Normal people will not go there. And even USA is poaching Indian technocrats, Indian doctors, and all, because they are meant for innovation over there. So most of innovations in civilized nations in USA or UK are actually from India. I'll give an example. Professor G.B. Reddy must be having detailed idea about it. In 1979, when US Supreme Court granted a patent to Ananda Chakrabarti, when he came out with one genetically modified bacterium. So Ananda Chakrabarti is from India. So he initiated that upsurge of biotechnology in invention. So likewise, the Indian think tank is contributing to their economy. And as well, India is providing them the biggest consumer market, right? Unlike China, Indians are pro-English. Indians are very open-minded. They are very adaptable. They are very flexible. and they learn quickly. That's another reason why India is a very significant player in the global economy, because of all these reasons. You are the biggest consumer market, you have greatest think tank, and you are very flexible and adaptive. These unique three unique features no other nation, no other locality is having. That's the reason why India is contributing not only to the growth of Indian economy, but India is immensely contributing to the growth of global economy, right? This is one way of looking at it. Number two, since India considers itself, India was rather considering itself as a developing nation and like European Union, India respects the tradition, culture, human values and all that. So by using intellectual property law regime itself, India is again contributing in terms of promoting the humanity at large. Take for example what happened during COVID. We supplied Covishield and Covaxin, vaccines to fight against COVID attack to more than 50 nations. We showed we were the showstoppers during that time, right? We innovated and we supplied across the globe. We never bothered about what kind of revenue that we could have generated. We could have made huge amount of money and all that. Innovation for humanity. That's what we have showed there, right? So what I'm trying to say is, though intellectual property law technically says that patents are made available to only those innovations which are industrially viable, copyright is made available to only those literary, artistic, and subject matters like that when it is having industrial or media demand for that matter, or when we say that trademarks, designs, and all are meant for promoting or adding value to the industrial entrepreneurship, right? There is other layer also, as Article 27 of TRIPS agreement that Professor G.B. Reddy also mentioned, right? Which talks about the human value, protecting environment, protecting taking care of climate change, and all that. It is meant for ensuring the respect to the nature, and as well respect to human values, that we don't allow intellectual property rights on certain public distribution subjects. It may be on food, it may be on pharmaceuticals, or something which is contributing to the justice in terms of supplying the daily needs or public distribution system. The subjects which are into public distribution system are the so-called health sector or education sector, food sector. We are restricting, though it has got greatest potential, right? Believe me, it is the food sector and health sector which are the biggest economies in the world, right? It is not automobile, it is not aeronautical, it is not space. It is the food and health industry which are the biggest contributors to the economy, not only in India but across the globe. But still, we are maintaining values. We are not letting any private player to run away with food patents, run away with patents on health subjects, say vaccines, medicine, pharmaceutical, and all that, because we are maintaining certain human values. It's not just about few people becoming rich, or you're boosting that you have become number 4 economy in the world, number 3 economy in the world, and all that, right? So you are trying to maintain that human value also. So that's what we call as exception. Even in terms of regulating corporations also, we have now imbibed that 2% of their overall profit should be diverted towards corporate social responsibility and stuff like that. So what I'm trying to say is, though intellectual property law regime is basically meant for promoting the cause of the economy, growth of the economy, the exceptions and exemptions, whatever we have got, are actually because of European Union and India. It is India and Europe which wise that no, it's not just about becoming rich, it's about delivering justice. That's why I say that intellectual property law regime can be used for ensuring distributive justice. That we have shown to the entire world by distributing Covishield and Covaxin free of cost to most of the African countries and as well Middle East countries. So that is where, right? And now these 50 odd countries to whom we have supplied Covaxin and Covaxin freely, their entrepreneurs, their investors will look at you in a very, very positive way, that India happened to support the cause of our health, and they have free of cost applied to us. So that psychological reaction will be there. They will consider you as a priority tomorrow whenever they invest money, and that's a reverse way of promoting the cause of the economy. It's not that always you need not fight directly. Indirectly also you can fight. That's what we have shown in case of recent as well. Also, not only direct fighting, even we have sent different MPs across the globe, and we have gone for consensus diplomacy as well. right? So what I'm trying to say is there are different ways of looking at an issue, different ways of solving any problem for that matter. So when we look at intellectual property regime, it is very much established now. It is very clear that it is meant for promoting the cause of the economy. But at the same time, this growth of the economy, if it is whether it is delivering justice or not, that we have to look at, because ultimately the law or legal regimes pursuit is to ensure justice, dharma, right? No, law may be nyaya. You have law that certain things could be justified, but whether the things that you are justifying, whether they are delivering justice or not, that we have to look at. So justiciability, which is completely different from justifiability, that is what we need to look at. So all the exceptions and exemptions, whatever we have got under the patent law, you are allowing compulsory license, you are allowing government acquisition. In case of geographical indications, you are allowing traditional knowledge, entrepreneurs to get promotion. In case of plant variety, you are allowing Indian farmers, local farmers to get plant variety rights protection. So you are trying to empower community through IPR, and you are trying to empower, promote economic, economic permeability for local communities as well. So these are the examples. These are the role models for the entire globe. That's the reason why countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, they are considering Indian intellectual property law spheres to be the most balanced, and Indian intellectual property law sphere is not only meant for promoting the cause of the economy, but it is promoting the cause of the humanity as well. So my point is very simple and straight, that intellectual property law is basically meant for promoting the cause of the economy, ranging from patent till your plant varieties. You are promoting only those innovations and creative pursuits which are having economic viability, industrial application, or utility. Otherwise, you are not granting any patent, copyright, trademark, or whatsoever, right? So ultimately, the economy is getting boost through intellectual property rights recognition and conferment. But we have created a model wherein not only we are promoting the cause of the economy, but we have added human touch, human emotions into it. Right now, people say that artificial intelligence is there now. It's a machine. It doesn't have a human value, human emotions. It doesn't have. So minus human emotions, artificial intelligence can do anything, everything under the sun, except human touch, right? But intellectual property law regime was also like that only. No exceptions, no exemptions whatsoever. If you have every country was supposed to provide patent, copyright, whatever, for all the applicants from across the globe without any exception. But Europe and India voiced and they created these exceptions that if something is connected with public purpose, public interest, on that there need not be any patent conferment. Of course, it may indirectly affect the economy, but the human cause is going to be more important than economy. So since now in post-globalization, in the past 3 decades, we are trying to visualize the global economy. We are trying to further the circular economy. We are trying to look at the economics of the least developed countries and developing countries and that of the developed countries. Now we are using this canopy or legal landscape of intellectual property law to add value to the cause of the economy. But at the same time, we should not forget the human value that intellectual property law can also respect or provide a platform for, right? So unlike or contrary to popular understanding that intellectual property law is basically meant for promoting pure science, technology, or useful arts, it is rather meant for promoting the cause of the economy. The number of patents that we are granting now per annum, I think now 4,75,000 trademarks we are granting per year. Last year we granted that many. So more than 1 lakh patents we have granted, more than 1.5 lakh copyrights we have granted. Compared to 1995, right? It used to be in 100 numbers. Now it is in lakhs, right? That is because of the growth of the economy, right? And the number of IPRs that you are granting, the number of IPRs that these entrepreneurs are having, it is actually indicating, right, the kind of contribution that IP is making for the growth of economy by mapping, by measuring, by rewarding, by incentivizing innovations and creativity. So what I'm trying to say is, my last point is that the economy is indebted to intellectual property law. And intellectual property law is not only promoting science and technology innovation, it is promoting traditional knowledge, it is promoting rural folks, our farmers, by virtue of that, it is adding to rural economy. It is adding to suburban economy by promoting geographical indications and traditional knowledge. It is also promoting typical industrial economy by conferment of the patent, trademarks, and designs. So Indian intellectual property law is the real role model as far as international intellectual property law regime is concerned, because it, in one way, it is adding value to the economic cost, promoting economy, and on the other side, it is also respecting the nature, respecting the environment, and respecting human values. And by virtue of that, we are striking the right balance between the two different heads: public interest and commercial interest. That is what we have been perceiving since 3 decades, and we are in the proper way, and we are going ahead with that. So with these words, I close my keynote speech, and with the final note that intellectual property law respects, promotes, incentivizes such type of innovations or creative pursuits which are having economic value, and by virtue of that, it is contributing to the economy, not only in those domestic nations, but to the global economy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your vibrant contribution to this deliberation. Now we are privileged to invite our esteemed guest of honor, Shri Advocate Vikrant Rana, sir. Before we begin with his practical perspective on the deliberation, we shall have the honor to introduce sir to our esteemed dignitaries and also to the participants. I would like to request my colleagues to introduce sir. Ms. Sarab.
It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Vikrant Rana, a leading figure in the field of intellectual property law in India and the managing partner of SS Rana & Co., one of the country's most respected intellectual property law firms. Mr. Rana has been practicing law since 1996 and holds the distinction of being an advocate on record with the Supreme Court of India as well as registered patent agent since 1998. With extensive litigation experience spanning the Supreme Court, High Courts, and all key intellectual property tribunals and offices in India, he has successfully represented clients from a wide spectrum of industries, including pharmaceuticals, electronics, IT, e-commerce, and FMCG. His deep understanding of both law and economics allows him to offer strategic, business focused advice on protecting and maximizing intellectual property portfolios, making him a trusted advisor to numerous Fortune 500 companies. In addition to his legal practice, Mr. Rana is deeply committed to spreading awareness about intellectual property rights in India. He is closely associated with several prestigious national and international institutions, including WIPO, FICCI, and IIM Ahmedabad, and regularly delivers lectures and conducts workshops for government bodies, academic institutions, and industry forums. His published works in journals such as Legal Era, World Intellectual Property Review, and Managing Intellectual Property are widely cited. And his contribution to the book, A Practical Approach to Intellectual Property Law, has been especially well received. His dedication has earned him multiple recognitions, including a nomination for the ILO Client Choice Awards and listing in WTR 1000 as a leading intellectual property professional. Please join me in warmly welcoming Mr. Vikrant Rana, an accomplished attorney, thought leader, and mentor in the realm of intellectual property law.
Thank you so much. I'm audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for that kind introduction. Thank you, University of Mysore, for inviting me. Thank you, Dr. Benjamin, Dr. Sunirayan Raju, and that was a wonderful session, the earlier session by Dr. Srinivas Salu and Professor Reddy earlier. So thank you for that. I think the topic for the session is indeed very relevant in these times, especially when IPR, like Professor mentioned, is always considered to be for businesses. It started off as for creativity, for innovation, but then economy and businesses, that is how it has kind of developed. But the examples he gave of the Scandinavian countries where the happiness quotient is much more there, and they are still very creative. I think that was a wonderful example to share, that you can have both at the same time. You could have the happiness vis-a-vis creativity also, and which also boost the economy per se also. So I think I'll just share my, if I can you allow me to share my presentation?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
You can. Yes, you try.
No, I'm not able to.
So now you may try.
Yeah. Yes.
Still, is there any problem? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it visible? Yeah.
Yes.
And the topic, especially considering the background of G20, which India hosted very successfully, and one of the SDG goals being for innovation, I think the session is very apt. So I'll very briefly touch upon what is circular economy, some statistics, India's position, impact, and the benefit of the circular economy, types of IPRs involved in circular economy, benefits of IP in the circular economy, SDG goals and IPR filing trends, and filing trends related to the circular economy or the green economy, and some case studies of brands and companies. So what exactly is circular economy? A circular economy is a regenerative system in which resources, input, and waste emissions, energy, and leakages are minimized. So you are looking at ways to minimize the waste, emission, or leakages while developing or innovating. And this can be achieved through long-lasting designs, maintenance, repair, reuse, sharing, remanufacturing, refurbishing, and recycling activities. So the businesses, the innovations are now looking at how to have sustainability as part of their core function there, and not just looking at the profitability. So sustainability has become a very important integral part for the growing economies. So, and for this, India, this was never, that we were always aware of the sustainable practices in India. And right from recycling and upcycling of handmade clothes has been part of India's heritage, and which was responsible for reducing greenhouse emissions. And hand-me-downs of clothes, I think it was common in our times and probably lesser now, but that was a common sustainable practice in Indian households. You would have children, younger ones, wearing the clothes of their elder siblings, and so the sustainability was always there. You would have watches, you would have products which were always looked at to be repaired rather than just pick up a new one. So which has become very consumer centric, or a very consumer centric economy there. But these things were very much there in earlier times. And we know how Indians would be disposing of their waste, which would be reutilized by the humble kabadiwalas, and they would look at how they could use those things, recycle those things, and facilitate in recycling, contributing to a circular economy. And again, the houses were traditionally stone and mud houses using local materials, which address the reduced energy use and requirement and disaster risk reduction. So it was always using the local materials, more sustainable and more eco-friendly. We have already gone through that, and it's a full circle that we're coming back to the same thing through IPR now. So when we talk about circular economy model, so we base it on less raw materials, less waste, and fewer emissions. So raw materials, sustainable design, which is making it more eco-friendly, production, distribution, consumption, which is reuse and repair, collection, waste management, and residual waste. So we have to look at all the different aspects of the whole the life cycle of a product, and not just at the time of producing itself. So where all we can contribute to make that whole process an eco-friendly, that would help in the circular economy model. If we look at globally, we see that the growing awareness regarding the environmental challenges such as climate change and resource depletion are compelling businesses and consumers to embrace circular economy practice. So any good organization is looking at to be more eco-friendly. Similarly, the consumers are looking for products which are certified as eco-friendly, be it from organic, be it other certifications which confirm that these products are eco-friendly and have not hurt the environment and the climate there. The circular economy was valued at almost US dollar 556 billion in 2023 and is predicted to reach almost 1300 billion USD by 2030, with a growth rate of almost 13.2% from 24 to 2040. So that is a good rate of growth for the global circular economy. And how's India faring on that? If you look at India, the India circular economy is projected to reach $45 billion by 2030. And it is transitioning from a linear production model to a circular through economic growth, job creation, sustainability-focused innovation. So there is the input from the IPR side that the innovation is more focused on how it would reduce damage to the environment, how would it make it more easy for the environment, and innovation which are keeping these goals in mind are promoted. And the transition is set to reach around $2 trillion and create 10 million jobs by 2050. Benefits. So obviously the basic benefit is for the our Mother Earth. That is definitely their reduced wastage, leakages, emissions. But they also create a lot of business opportunities. New avenues for business growth and innovation. The industries, the companies are investing more in providing that product which is more eco-friendly, because that would have a certain added advantage when you go to a customer. Or they're also looking at resource reduction, reduces the reliance on non-renewable resources. Also looking at local products, looking at local raw materials for their products, how they can reduce the carbon emission on their balance sheets by sourcing the products locally, and looking at lowering carbon emissions to combat climate change. Zero waste aims to eliminate waste through reuse and recycling. And consumer benefits, I think, provides advantages for consumers through sustainable practices. And we have seen that many consumers who are very careful and they care for the environment, they would look out for these kind of products which are certified to be green or organic, or which have been which helps the environment as a whole. So what all is included in IP? Very briefly, trademark, design, and patent. And any product can have a number of IPs in it. So it need not be that one product would have only one IP. For example, this if you see this car, the logo or the name is a trademark. The look and feel, the shape is the industrial design, and the technology would be a patentable product. And role of IPR in circular economy. Normally, you would believe that as an IP is indeed a monopoly, and more consumption would mean more profits. But I think companies are now changing that to make it more sustainable. Sustainability is a big goal for the corporates now, and to see that the products are first of all made in such a manner to reduce leakages, reduce losses there, but also how they are transported, how they are used, how they are reused, is also being considered by the companies. To start with, we have the product to protect innovations. IP provides legal protection for circular economy inventions. In fact, many patent offices are now expediting any innovations which are dealing with green technology. I'll deal with that later, but the first step is to protect innovations. So once you protect any innovation, that kind of gives a boost to the R&D. You would invest more in research and development when you know that the end result of that R&D is protected, and that incentivizes that cycle again. So it's a very good circular way of investing back into R&D, which results in more innovative products to create more sustainable technologies, which are further protected and useful for the economy as a whole. Then we have facilitate technology sharing. So patents and licenses are enable dissemination of circular technology. So you can sell, like any other property, patent and designs both can be sold or licensed, so that these technologies can be further disseminated for the benefit of all, and including the IP right holders. Promote sustainable practices, share technologies, leads to wider adoption of sustainable methods. So it would lead to more people using those technologies and benefit for the IP holders as well. Encourage efficient resource use. So IP rights encourage durable and high quality products. So it's not a cheap product of low quality, but it would be more durable products, high quality, which can be reused or recycled, or which can be, when they're disposed of, are not a danger to the planet itself. And IP supports businesses committed to sustainability, so providing a very level playing field there. So that is, so economy and IPR would be very intrinsically related, and there would be important part for the growth of the circular economy, growth of the green technology, growth of all these initiatives to make it a green planet. So some of the examples I've looked up are, for example, the Reliance Industries initiative related to circular economy, where they have embraced economy reducing waste and repurposing resources. With innovation, it crafts an efficient, eco-friendly business model, shaping a just transition to a greener tomorrow. So they had a Recron fiberfill Eco Gold, which is the world's first biodegradable polyester. And they increased recycling capacity by 2 times, with a target of 5 billion bottles annually. And they have also revolutionized recycling. Closed loop recycling converts mixed waste plastic into stable oil, allowing for its transformation back into plastic. So they have done their bit. They, in a continuous manner, they're looking at ways to help in this circular economy. Breakthrough achievement: torrefied biomass fired in gasifiers for first ever green hydrogen generation. Sustainable transformation: biomass firing in coal fired boilers at petrochemical sites increased by 1% of total feed. Developing predictive analytics, creating usable data sets for constructing predictive analytics models powered by AI and ML for efficiency improvement. So these are the various initiatives by Reliance to ensure that they contribute to the sustainability goal they have set for themselves. I think many of us would be aware of a number of companies which have these initiatives. These are very small things there, but as companies, they have these initiatives to take in any unwanted clothes and hand in the bag of old clothes, and you can receive a voucher for your next purchase. And so they contribute to reuse, rewear, and recycle. Panasonic is another example of how they're contributing to the circular economy, and they have redesigned products for repair, reuse, and recycling for the circular economy. So while innovating itself, they're looking at how the product can be designed in such a manner that it can be later on used, recycled for the benefit of all, and designing for disassembly by rethinking the overall product architecture, fastness, and material. So I think that's very long sightedness on their part to look at these things, so that how when it is being disassembled, how it would be helpful and useful to use technology that could make it reusable again in a different format. And utilizing AI and robotics as part of the redesign process. And look at innovating products which will be easier to repair, maintain, and recycle. And one of the patents they have filed recently is present, which relates to power supply management system, in particular to power supply management system for green energy power. So it is based on to meet the power requirements of the load operation, which helps to reduce the demand for city electricity use and achieve the goal of net zero emissions. So the companies are looking at ways they could be more sustainable and provide products which are more sustainable. And this is also an example of cylindrical lithium-ion batteries for in-use vehicle, which promote and are said to be reducing carbon emissions by 12.03 million tons last year. I refer to the G20, so the 17 global goals for sustainable development, and innovation is very integral part of the, I would say sustainable innovation is very integral part of the sustainable development global goals. And India being, leader there has taken a step forward, definitely. And I think Professor mentioned about the filing trends in India, so I will not take much time, but we see that there has been a really good growth on the IP filings in India. And obviously it relates to the economy that Indian companies and even foreign companies, they both are looking at the big Indian market we have. And to protect their innovations and inventions, they would be filing patents and designs in India, and also seek protection for their trademarks. And we see the trend, I think, even during COVID, there was no letdown on any of the filings there. We can see that it has been growing only, and there was no decrease in the filings even during the COVID times. In fact, in certain categories, it was much more, and you could file online, and it was a very seamless filing system there. Patent filing trends for green technologies worldwide, if you see, in fact, we can see that there was a huge jump in 2022, in fact, during or around after COVID. And but otherwise, there has been constant filing for products, innovations relating to green technologies. And looking at the granted green IP technologies in India, we see that there has been a good number of percentage of green patents there. And out of the total 91,000 patents for these years, 61,000 related to green technologies. Top filing companies of green technologies, you have Boye Technology Group with almost 2,000 applications, Samsung Display, Samsung Electronics, Xialing University, South China University, LG Display, Yangon University, Nanjing Forestry University, Beijing University, and Central South University. So we see a lot of academic institutes actually looking at green technologies, and this is a worldwide number we have got. And if we see of all the companies, entities listed, most appear to be universities there. So we see that they're looking at protecting innovation in the green domain. And in India, we see CSIR leading the way, followed by Samsung, Savita Institute of Medical Science, LPU, Amity, BASF, Boy Technology, Signify, and Philips. So these are companies which are leading as far as the green technologies patent filings in India is. Similarly, if we look, it's not that green technology is limited to only patents, but we see even in trademark, even in designs, a number of applications are being filed which are related to the green technology or the circular economy for the benefit of the environment and the climate. So Blue Tip Energy Private Limited, they have filed a renewable combustible gas heater. Then this is a panel rail saddle for solar module, solar water heating panel for swimming pool, solar powered charger, and some more examples of wastewater treatment equipment component, decanting apparatus for wastewater, fluid distribution system for wastewater treatment. So these designs have also been protected in India. So I mentioned green IP. So green IP is ecologically balanced IP invention that helps keep the environment green. So you would still be innovating, but innovating in such a way to keep the environment green. Green IP protects innovation in the field of green technology. It helps in promotion of a more sustainable and a desirable pattern of consumerism. So looking at products which can be recycled, reused, or which can be disposed of in a much better way. The need of green IP in India so emphasizes on rights, obligations, balance to promote social economic welfare, creates employment for our Indian labor force, and encourages consumers to purchase products and services which include green technology. So it's not just limited to the consumers looking at green technology, but it has to start from the companies to have the green technology sustainability as part of their core goal, so that they start looking at producing those products using systems which are better, which would help the green technology there. And also, like I said, logistics also to see how the carbon emissions could be limited or totally taken care of. And then obviously also the consumers would look at and may be willing to pay a premium to buy a product which is a green product. So WIPO also is working towards the sustainability goals, and as part of its effort, they have the online platform exchange for technology exchange called WIPO Green, and it supports global efforts to address climate change via environmentally friendly technologies. So where science and technology, we are looking at green technology for the sustainable, more sustainable, eco-friendly products and services that protect our environment. And as per WIPO, over 1,66,74,000 patents are filed for green technology globally, and India alone has filed around 3,66,000 patent applications. And so how, we started with the IP, so it's not limited for only the companies or the consumers to look at IP, but the world over, we have seen the IP offices in different countries have their own initiative to ensure that they can contribute to the growth of the green technology, the sustainable economy, whereby they are looking at expediting the patent applications so that the patent is granted faster and the technology can be put to use with the benefit for the patent holder much quickly than the normal time frame. For example, the US has the USPTO Climate Change Mitigation Pilot Program, where it fast tracks the patents aimed at reducing, removing, preventing, or monitoring greenhouse gas emissions. So no fees required here, and no need to meet any accelerated examination criteria. And this is open till June 7th, 2027, or until 4,000 petitions are granted. So you can expedite a patent which is related to anything related to greenhouse gas emissions. Then even Canada has the Green Tech Fast Track, where under Rule 22 of the patent rules, which came into effect from March of 2011, expedited examination for tech addressing environmental impact or conservation is there, and requires a written request and declaration without any official fee. Similarly, in Australia, we have the Green Tech program, where it allows expedited examination of green tech applications, requires a valid reason for fast tracking, and like other countries, there's no fee, and decisions are typically taken within 4 to 6 weeks of the request. Japan also an accelerated examination for green inventions started in November 2009, requires showing reduction in CO2 or similar impact prior disclosure and comparison with claimed invention. UK IPO has a green channel, which was again launched in 2009. Applicants must show how the invention is environmentally beneficial, can request expedited search, examination, or publication, no fee or specific classification required. Brazil also has this program from 2012, applies to national applications filed on or after 2011, January 2nd, and PCT national phase is excluded here and limited to 15 claims and 3 independent claims, aims to reduce backlog and encourage eco-friendly innovation. So we see that, even the IP offices of various countries are contributing to the innovation life cycle by reducing the time in granting those rights, so they can be put into practice, they can be used much faster than the patents granted in the normal phase of time. And some brands, when you talk of certain brands, sustainability becomes so connected with those brands. And then Starbucks is one of the such brands which has opened around more than 6,000 greener stores worldwide. And it allows its customers to bring their own cups or provide them with reusable cups. It provides its farmers precision agronomy tools that reduces carbon and greenhouse emissions. So we can see a leading company being very involved and to ensure that it does work on its sustainability goals, and which is not limited to themselves, but it is a forward and backward integration of those sustainability goals right from the time of production at the coffee plantations and farmers till it reaches the customer's cup. So that is the kind of full life cycle they have covered to make it more sustainable and useful for the customers. And these are some of the applications we see filed by Starbucks, and 20 patent applications for green technology. So Patagonia is also an example when we talk about recyclable or green tech or sustainable, which is an outdoor clothing company. And it is known to be a leader in circular economy practices through its Worn Wear program. So this initiative encourages customers to repair, reuse, and recycle their Patagonia gear, extending the life of production, reducing waste. So it offers free repairs for its products, either in-store or through mail-in services. This keeps clothes in use longer, reducing the need for new purchases. So as a company, they are providing these repair facilities, which in a way could affect their profitability, because people will not come and buy that product again because they're getting it repaired. But that is the whole, the company has worked on that domain, that it's known for that. And customers, they are very loyal customers who go back and reach out because of how conscious they are about their environment, climate, and their sustainability goal. And the company buys back used Patagonia items in good conditions, refurbishes them, and resells them at a lower price point. This creates a second life for products that might otherwise be discarded. So they repair and recycle, resell those same products in their stores itself at a lower price point. And when items are beyond repair, Patagonia recycles them into new fabric or products, closing the loop on material use. So they ensure that the material which goes into making is also coming from recycle, and therefore the whole life cycle they are able to work on. That whole life cycle they can work to make it more sustainable. And Patagonia's impact on waste reduction, customer loyalty, like I said, they have very loyal customer base, and the program strengthened customer relationship by aligning their values. So seeing that a company is providing these kind of repair and reuse facilities, that created a different kind of customer loyalty. And the survey conducted by Patagonia found that 95% of Worn Wear customers reported increased brand loyalty due to the program. So they were more connected to the brand because they knew this company was not doing just lip service, but was actually walking the path. And waste reduction in 2024, Patagonia reported that the Born Wear program had repaired over 130,000 items of clothing in the previous year, keeping these items in use and out of landfill. So that's a huge number, which they were able to ensure that they were still in use and not ended up in landfills. I thought I'll just touch very briefly upon greenwashing before I end. Greenwashing was actually coined in 1986. Is the act of making a false or misleading statements about the environmental benefits of a product or practice. When we talk about IPR and sustainability, so we see that at times certain companies may promote or project that they are also green, but they may not be actually green. And so this is greenwashing is something to that effect, where businesses are trying to do their bit for environment by reducing emissions and improve sustainability. Study shows that 90% of consumers are interested in brands that are committed to and demonstrate they're making sustainability a priority. And green trademark is a symbol, logo, or phrase used by a company to denote their commitment to environmental responsibility. So we see that it's not limited to designs, patents, but also the trademarks. Companies have come up with their own trademarks to show that this is part of their green domain. Skip this. I think I can skip this. I've already exceeded my time, so I'll end there. And yes, so thank you so much for this opportunity once again.
Thank you so much, sir, for your iconic presentation. It was so useful, and we will definitely use from your knowledge and perspectives what you have highlighted. It has highlighted so well. So we are delighted to invite our distinguished speaker, Dr. V. Suraya Narayana Raju. I'm sorry for the name. Professor at Hidayatullah National Law University, to address the deliberation. Before we start with sir, I shall request my colleague, Ms. Sarah Benjamin, to introduce the sir and start the meeting. So, yeah.
It is a pleasure and privilege to introduce Dr. V. Suryanarayana Raju, an accomplished academician and legal scholar from Hidayatullah National Law University, with a strong focus on arbitration law, corporate regulation, and legal research. Dr. Raju holds multiple degrees from some of India's most prestigious institutions. He completed his LLM in business law from the National Law Institute, University, Bhopal, and his LLB and BSc from Andhra University, Vishakhapatnam. He also holds a master's in journalism and mass communication from Acharya Nagarjuna University. Demonstrating a continued commitment to academic excellence, he is pursuing a PhD in law from the National Law School of India, University, Bangalore, on the subject of institutional arbitration in India. With a UGC NET and Junior Research Fellowship to his credit, Dr. Raju has been actively involved in both undergraduate and postgraduate legal education, teaching subjects such as international commercial arbitration, alternative dispute resolution, securities and competition law, and geographical indications law. His research interests reflect a blend of contemporary relevance and academic depth, particularly in arbitration law. Dr. Raju's scholarly contributions include multiple publications in reputed journals such as the Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia National Law University and Indian Journal of Law and Justice and Indian Journal of Legal Philosophy. He has also authored insightful book chapters, including one of the principles of natural justice in arbitration procedures, and written on emerging themes such as virtual arbitration during the pandemic. We are truly honored to have among us a dynamic and insightful legal academic whose work bridges theory and practice in meaningful ways. Please join me in welcoming Dr. V. Suryanarayana Raju.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Benjamin, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity, Professor Benjamin from the University of Mysore, and my fellow speakers, Professor J.B. Reddy, who became the Vice Chancellor of the NLU Kochi. I congratulate him through this platform, and well as Professor Srinivasulu N.S., my mentor, and as well as uh, Advocate Vikrant, and the speaker from Brazil. So, everyone, welcome to this program. And I will, the most of the speakers, my senior professors, which has spoken about IPR, TRIPS, circular economy. Advocate Vikrant has spoken about how actually the green and how the India's initiative towards the figures relating to the circular economy is concerned. So I'm not going to much detail what is circular economy and all, but by giving a brief idea about the IPR and circular economy, then I will be dealing with the position in the United States and the position in the European Union, how they are addressing the circular economy and what type of legislations or the regulatory mechanisms they have been adopted in this concern. So, the circular economy is the it reduces material use, which redesigns materials to be less resource, which is very intensively, and also recaptures the waste as a resource to manufacture new materials and products. So by using the waste, it gives an option to manufacture new materials and products. There are different strategies which we can adopt in order to make a sustainable reutilization of the particular by using circular economy the old materials is concerned. How does actually this intellectual property affect the circular economy? See, the concept of intellectual property in the context of a circular economy, which has been gained in importance when the industry shift towards more sustainable, when they want resource efficient business models. So, in case of we see a detailed exploration of how intellectual property plays a role in circular economy, see, which can impact definitely in innovation, competition, and collaboration with the economic framework. So, which takes makes and dispose the concept of conventional linear economy, the circular economy which replaces the conventional linear economy, which making the most of resources and reducing waste are the goals of the circular economy. So the strategy contrasts with the take make dispose concept of the conventional linear economy, which helps us in reducing through reuse, repair, recycling, and redesign. So, see the IP rights, which has been given through different legislations in India, with the base from the TRIPS trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights, which encourages innovation by the patents or the trade secrets, where the in the patents, particularly where the industrial applications which will be there. Where in the industrial applications which will be there, then it will be have its effects. And the trade secrets also can protect proprietary methods used in circular economic practices. For example, unique processes for refurbishing electronics or recycling complex materials can be safeguarded through the trade secrets, helping companies to maintain a competitive edge, and also which facilitates a collaboration. The circular economy thrives on collaboration. Companies which do sharing of knowledge, technologies, or materials to achieve sustainable practices, which is very helpful, and also which can be helpful in licensing agreements between the companies to share technologies without losing control over their intellectual property. Let me give an example. A company that has been developed a novel plastic recycling method could license its technology to manufacturers, promoting broader use while maintaining IP ownership. And also the intellectual property which enables product as a service models, and also the IP in the recycling process, when particularly in the case of circular economy, which protects the brand reputation. See, these are all the opportunities, but when you see the challenges relating to the circular IPR and circular economy, which we need to balance the IP protection with open innovation. When you talk about you incentivize innovation, so particularly they can also restrict the free exchange of knowledge, which is very crucial for the circular economy. companies need to find a balance between protecting their intellectual property and fostering an environment of shared knowledge is concerned. And also the cost is also very important aspect in relation to that. And opportunities includes open license models, government incentives for green patents, etc. So let me give you two examples here. A Dutch social enterprise which which designed a fair phone, which designs a modular smartphones that are easy to repair and upgrade. By using design patents and trademarks, Fairphone protects its innovations while promoting sustainability, demonstrating how intellectual property can align with circular economy goals. The second example, including Philip Lighting, in case of which is Signify now, where the consumers pay for light as a service rather than purchasing lighting equipment is concerned. Okay, so now the see, when you once we know the key principles relating to the circular economy, so which designs out waste and pollution, which keep products and materials intact in use again, which recycles uh, uh, and also regenerate natural systems. So as I said, that in the place of a traditional linear economy models, once the circular economy which has been takes its place, so definitely it will be useful to the society in terms of environmental impact assessment as well. So the benefits, once you move to the circular economy, which brings at the global level, which is environmental sustainability, which giving effect to the international conventions on the environmental law. And as Professor Srinivasulu has also mentioned about the IP which enables the economic opportunities will be created, and there are social benefits as well. However, this transition, which might we have a lot of challenges from the traditional linear economy to the circular economy by utilizing the intellectual property rights, which is might be some of the challenges includes technological and infrastructure needs. Yes, in order to do that, we need a lot of technology and a lot of infrastructure to do that, in order to recycling and repurposing of materials, which requiring significant investment in infrastructure. And sometimes maybe market barriers, the competition law issues or the regulatory issues maybe affect adopting consumer behavior, existing supply chains, and current regulatory frameworks pose considerable challenges. And also investment, sometimes the initial cost may be unbearable in relation to do that. So different type of intellectual property rights, patents, copyright, trademarks, in its own, it is having its own effects in terms of in terms of affecting the circular economy is concerned. Patents protect innovations, and in the context of the circular economy, they cover innovative recycling technologies, new materials, and sustainable manufacturing processes. Copyrights, which protect creative works, including software and design tools used in developing circular economy solutions. And trademarks can foster brand loyalty around sustainability and circular economy principles, encouraging businesses to invest these values. As which will be creating conflict between IP rights and circular economy goals. Sometimes the potential conflicts which we can anticipate, which is access versus exclusivity. The exclusive nature of, because the IP rights, which will be given an exclusive right, statutory right, the exclusive nature of IP rights can sometimes hinder the sharing of knowledge and technologies essential for a circular economy, which may be cause of a potential conflict with IP. And balancing protection and collaboration, finding the right balance between the protecting IP, and fostering collaboration and open innovation is crucial. And sometimes maybe legal and ethical considerations all to be there, biodegradable packaging or reusable packaging innovations, etc. So in case of I move to uh, United States position in relation to the circular economy is concerned. Now, once we concentrate on which we talk about regulatory aspects of circular economy in the United States, the United States Environmental Protection Agency, which looks after the circular economy in the United States. Why actually the circular economy is important in particularly in any country, even how the United States which is taking is this concern. A circular economy keeps materials and products in circulation as much as possible, as long as possible. So US does not have a specific legislation on the circular economy is concerned, but EU has possibly they're having the goal to bring a legislation by next year, by 2026, the Circular Economy Act, in terms of better usage of the materials and production products as long as possible is concerned. So once
আমার হয়ে গেছে কনস্টি 1
am I
Yes, you can proceed, sir.
mm, particularly circularity is embraced with the sustainable materials management approach that this particularly the US Environmental Protection Agency, which is taking along with other federal agencies, have pursued since last decade. A circular economy then approach under the umbrella demonstrate continuity in our emphasis in reducing negative life cycle impacts of materials, including climate impacts, reducing the use of harmful materials, and decoupling material use from economic growth and meeting society's needs. This Environmental Protection Agency at the United States has a broad vision to help the nation to address the full impacts of materials on the communities and set out a transformative vision for the waste management system, one that is inclusive, more equitable is concerned. So they having the particularly a strategy that the US have a strategy through EPA that will be dedicating to building a circular economy for all. See, the goal which have been taken, why the circular economy is important in the United States, the because it's a part of slowing climate change. When you adopt this circular economy, so it will be very helpful in the it's slowing down the climate change, and also it take an action to address the climate crisis, and material recovery has an important role to play. Even the United Nations International Resource Panel, which concluded that a natural resource extraction and processing contribute to about half of the global greenhouse gas emissions is concerned. So, the circular economy, when designed in a thoughtful and inclusive manner, has the potential to protect the environment, improve economics, as Professor Srinivasulu has said, and also elevate social justice. Sustainability from its foundation requires social equity, how the society which extract, use, and dispose of our resources can affect already vulnerable communities disproportionately is concerned. So, in relation to the US, so which has in the present decade, particularly in the last 5 years, so they are working very efficiently in order to achieve these goals. So they have adopted a strategy named as National Recycling Strategy in the year 2021, and also they released in the year 2024 the National Strategy for Reducing Food Loss and Waste and Recycling Organics. Particularly, they adopted certain fields in order to do that. As Professor Srinivaslu also, and also Professor GB Reddy, which has been talked about, the two sectors, particularly food industry and health industry. So where the recycling and reutilization is much essential. So with the national strategy for reducing food loss, particularly for the specific sector, they have been opted the particular how to recycling the particular organics is concerned, and also they adopted a strategy for to prevent a plastic pollution is concerned.
So you proceed. This is about the participants.
আমি
Okay.
একবার বললাম এই শিপর্ণা দাও, ও
Can
ইমিডিয়েটলি
you
বানাতে
mute
শুরু
them?
করে দিল।
Yeah, these are
Stop.
participants. You may proceed. Now you can try. You're Could you
I think
unmute yourself? Yes, yes.
no, you have muted me.
Yes, no, I unmuted all because there was some disturbance from.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah,
So
no
let me
problem.
continue.
Yes,
So
please.
there are some different organizations are doing good in the circular economy work is concerned. So those organizations include Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and at the global level, European Union is working hard, and National Institute for Standards and Technology in the US, and National Renewable Energy Laboratory, Circular Economy Modeling and Analysis Tools, and Systems Change Lab, and also United Nations Environment Program Building Circularity, and US Chamber of Commerce Foundation Circular Economy Toolbox for Small Businesses, World Circular Economy Forum, all the different organizations which are working for the to reach the goal of circular economy is concerned. Now in case of you see in the European Union, particularly the European Commission on energy, climate change, and environment, which they have a circular economy action plan, so which adopted in the year the circular economy action plan, which is CEAP, in March 2020. It is the one of the major objective is to reach European Green Deal, Europe's new agenda for sustainable growth, which by utilizing the circular economy, reutilizing reuse of the resources is and the products is concerned. The EU's transition to a circular economy from the old linear economy will reduce pressure on natural resources and will create sustainable growth and jobs is concerned. And also the EU's which has been put the goal by 2050 climate neutrality target and to halt biodiversity loss. And this action plan announces initiatives along with the entire life cycle of products. It targets how products are designed, promotes circular economy processes, encourages sustainable consumption, and aims to ensure the waste is prevented and the resources used are kept in the EU economy as far as long as possible. The goal is the product to be utilized as long as possible. So it introduces a legislative and non-legislative measures targeting areas where the action of the European Union levels brings real added value is concerned. The objectives includes make a sustainable products the norm in the European Union, which empower the consumers and policy public buyers, focus on the sectors that use most resources and where the potential for circularity, which we can rotate the usage, is high, such as electronics and ICT, batteries and vehicles, packaging, plastics, textiles, construction and buildings, food, water, and nutrients, and also which ensures less waste, makes circularity work for people, regions, and cities, lead global efforts on circular economy is concerned. And in the year 2023, the European Commission on this climate change, which revised the circular economy monitoring framework previously adopted in the year 2018, the revisions which has been taken, which is the material footprint and resource productivity to monitor material efficiency, and consumption footprint to monitor if European consumption fits with the planetary boundaries is concerned. So now the policy which also much emphasized about the circular economy to achieve these goals is concerned. And the European Union particularly which trying to adopt EU Circular Economy Act. In case of we see how will it shape the future of the European Union and your business is concerned. See the new EU, the new European Union Circular Economy Act, which is expected to be notified in by 2026, is to set to reshape how industries use resources, which reduces waste and compete globally. The circular economy angle, the transition from the linear economy to the circular economy, which can be competed globally, which is proposed by the European Commission. So in relation to the environment, water resilience, and a competitive circular economy, this law will might be a game changer on key challenges like resource shortages, waste problems, and a global competition is concerned. So, and also at its the core, the EU Circular Economy Act is not just about only a compliance. It is also about seizing opportunities, and also act the particular act which is having an objective for from stimulating innovation in electric vehicles and reusable packaging to boosting the production of solar panels, sustainable fuels, and wind turbines. That will ripple across every sector, striving to achieve carbon dioxide neutrality, CO2 neutrality by 2050. And to promote and protects its environment and a competitive edge to drive investment in transformative.
Yes, sir, you
I'm
please
getting,
proceed. No, please. Yes, we are listening to it.
but lot of noise is coming from
No,
the back.
noise is from among the speakers. It is from our guests. You proceed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So beyond its ambitious climate goals, which under the European Union legislation which is going to come out, it aims to establish EU as a global front runner in the circular economy is concerned, outpacing might be US or China in this concern. More concretely, that is expected to introduce measures that incentivize the use of secondary materials in manufacturing, helping to close the loop on resource use, bringing circularity even more into play. Businesses will need to rethink their product designs and suppliers. For instance, the EU Circular Economy Act is expected to align with existing regulations like packaging and packaging waste regulations. So, very ambitious legislation, in order to attract the sectors such as packaging, electronics, chemicals, construction, transportation, and textiles is concerned. The major use, the present arise which is going to be unsustainable in nature by usage of the circular economy, the environment and everything which will be sustainable for the future generations, and the goals which will be achieved with this. And uh, and also this legislation aim to scale up these efforts by establishing a single market for waste and secondary raw materials and etc. So this is the position in the European Union, and and also previously as we discussed in the United States. So and also the disputes which to be handled through alternative dispute resolutions when the particular disputes which has been arised out of this transition from the linear economy to the circular economy
Is there
Sarah,
an
am I?
yes? Is there a technical issue?
No. I said I'm done with
Okay,
that.
thank you so much.
So I said thanks for the opportunity to the
Okay, thank you so much. Indeed, your speech was comprehensive and thoughtful. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Now we are privileged to invite our esteemed guest from Brazil, Professor Themis Pedreso. Professor, your presence in this webinar highlights the spirit of being this webinar as an international one. And before we begin with you, we are also welcoming your students, Rita Tarifa, Anna Paul Rucha, Daniel Marina, and I was writing the rest. So I was busy here. That's why Dr. V.S. Raju has called me. Now, before we begin with you, I have the privilege to request my colleague Sarah Benjamin to introduce you to our esteemed dignitaries and participants. Yes, Ms.
It
Sarah.
is my privilege and honor to introduce an accomplished academic, dedicated legal professional, and a passionate advocate for the rule of law, Professor Themis Chenso da Silva Rabello Pedroso. Professor Pedroso began her journey in the field of law with a degree from the State University of Londrina in 2001. Her academic pursuit was further enriched by specializations in civil law and civil procedure in 2002, and later in political and legal philosophy in 2013. She also holds a master's degree in business law from the same institution earned in 2006. Continuing her deep engagement with legal scholarship, she is currently pursuing her doctorate in business law at the State University of Londrina, a testament to her lifelong commitment to legal research and education. In addition to her academic achievements, Professor Pedroso has played a vital role as an educator. She serves as a professor of law at University of East London and also contributes to the postgraduate programs at the university. Her dedication to teaching and mentoring is widely recognized and deeply valued by her students and peers alike. Her professional contributions extend beyond academia. As a registered lawyer with the OAB Londrina, she has held significant positions, including regional coordinator of the bar exam from 2014 to 2016 and counselor of the Londrina subsection from 2016 to 2018. Currently, she also serves as a legal advisor at UEL's innovation agency AINTEC, where her legal acumen supports research, innovation, and enterprise development. Professor Pedroso exemplifies the integration of academic excellence, professional leadership, and community service. We are delighted to welcome her today and look forward to gaining from her insights and expertise. Please join me in welcoming Professor Temesgenso da Silva Rebelo Pedroso.
Thank you so much for this presentation, and I want to give good afternoon to those in India, and good morning to my fellow Brazilians, and thank you for your support. I extend my greetings to the professors and authorities at this webinar, particularly to Professor Hashimi, and thank him for his kind invitation. I apologize in advance for my accent, hoping that my speech will be understandable. When I was invited to this webinar, I proposed to Professor Hashimi to provide a general overview of this topic from a Brazilian perspective. So in the next few minutes, I will try to provide some information on how my country has been addressing the circular economy and how intellectual property has contributed for its development. According to official data, currently 85% of industries in Brazil adopt some form of circular economy practice in their production chain. In addition to inherent benefits to the entire industrial chain, such as cost reduction of materials, strengthening of value chain, industrial parks, marketing differentiation, in Brazil, 2 points stand out significantly as a result of circular economy practices. The first one is the regularization of informal work and the generation of new jobs. According to Brazilian Ministry of the Environment, with the progress in the sector, it would be possible to generate about 7 million new jobs in the country by 2030. This is crucial for Brazilian economy, and we need to improve considerably these numbers. But for now, I will concentrate on the second point, which is the incentive for research on safer, renewable, and non-toxic raw materials and the resulting intellectual property rights. A few days ago, on May 8, the Brazilian federal government established the National Circular Economy Plan, which aims to create a coherent national strategy for the circular economy, focusing on goals, standards, and indicators to monitor circularity, encouraging technological innovation. Along with it, it was set the National Circular Economy Strategy to promote the recovery of natural systems, responsible use of resources, and bioeconomy, seeking to integrate production with environmental restoration. These two policies are interconnected with innovation and patents as they aim to develop more resilient products, promote reuse, repair, recycling, remanufacturing, reduce waste and environmental impacts, which demands technological innovation. Patents have been the most common form of protection for these innovations here and have driven this transition to a sustainable economy system as they offer an exclusive right to their holder for a period of 20 or 15 years, depending on the type that is requested and granted. I will give you some examples. When we talk about recycling technology, patents have been granted for process and materials that allow more efficient recycling of plastics, metals, glass, other stuff, transforming waste into raw materials. Natura, a major company in the perfumery and cosmetics sector, is highly engaged in circular practices. It offers products with biodegradable and packaging and waste reuse programs, such as Recicla Natura. I can also mention Bosch Industries, which implemented the Recicla Auto Parts program, which collects automotive scrap and ensures that the waste is reintegrated into the production chain or disposed of in an environmentally correct manner. In the area of sustainable materials development, alternative materials have been created, such as bioplastics, composites from agricultural or industrial waste. Ambipar, a company operating in Brazil and 14 other countries, has a R&D lab that develops technologies and innovations from waste, with several registered patents for sustainable products, like feed made from crustaceans remains and sustainable softener produced with leavings from the cosmetics industry. When addressing reverse logistics, patents grants have ensured the development of systems and processes that facilitate collection, transportation, and treatment of waste, making this practice more efficient and sustainable and ensuring all the inventors the protection and fair remuneration for their creations. An example is Kataki, an app that connects cooperatives and recyclable collectors with people who want to dispose the garbage. In legal field, as mentioned before by Dr. Hanna, it is important to emphasize that in 2012, the National Institute of Industrial Property, we called it INPI, the national authority responsible for industrial property issues in Brazil, launched the Green Patents Pilot Program, an accelerated patent process for green technologies. In 2016, this program became integral part of all the services offered by INPI, and in 2020, it was expanded. Brazil is one of the first emerging economies to introduce a program like this. And the Green Patent establishes a priority process for green technologies, required, in addition to the three traditional requirements, inventive, activity, novelty, and industrial application, that the object of this patent fits as alternative energies, energy conservation, sustainable transportation, waste management, or sustainable agriculture. The need of this prioritization arose from the large number of patent applications in Brazil, almost 8% higher than in other Latin American countries, which results in a very long processing time. With the priority process, this time has been reduced, which represents a differential in the innovation scenario, allowing sustainable technologies to be quickly protected and introduced to the market. According to the Green Technologies Observatory, Brazil has 1,097 green inventions filed, and the time from the filing of the application to the granting of the patent has varied from 1 and 2 years. Speaking now about a little bit about the university where I teach, I'm very pleased to say that we have a specific sector, the Technological Innovation Agency, we call it INTEC, where I work as a legal advisor. There, we carry out the procedures related to bring the companies closer to the research in areas that our professors and students conduct, enabling the results to reach a format of products and service for the entire population. At INTEC, we have several activities such as a startup incubator. We structure partnerships from technological development. We work in the area of technology transfer, in addition to the process of trademark and patent registration. In 2024, through the work we did, WELL was among the top 10 largest patent registrants in Brazil. Among all these activities we do, I would like to mention a license and a green patent that act precisely in the circular economy process. The first case is Frontier Control, a biofertilizer with very low environmental impact, including on animals and humans, with high productivity index for crops. It started with a cooperation agreement between the university and a company, Symbiose, a giant in the fertilizer sector, that evolved into a license agreement. In this case, we celebrate a know-how and a genetic transfer contract. The second example, it's a company, Poliverde, which started as a startup that was incubated with us. Today, it is a consolidated company in the recycling sector, and it developed a process for transforming synthetic clothes into small pellets, which resulted 3 granted patents. These very small pellets can be turned into filaments for 3D printers used in the automotive industry, numerous other applications. In Brazil, the role of university is the utmost importance for technological development. Innovation, federal and state law provide for public funding for projects developed by research in many academic areas, which has led to a significant increase in Brazilian technologies. I conclude by emphasizing that Brazil is a country very concerned with sustainability, to the point that 8% of all energy we consumed here comes from renewable sources, especially hydroelectric. We see that scientific research has substantially focused on finding solutions for sustainable economy development, resulting in numerous new technologies whose development, protection, transfer, and licensing have been the work of Brazilian universities, including my university, in a responsible, consistent, and efficient manner. These were the considerations I want to make. I thank you once again for the opportunity kindly given to me to participate in this event, and I am entirely at your disposal for any considerations or questions. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Thank you so much for your comparative legal education, that what we learned from the Brazil. And I would like to acknowledge and being grateful to Dr. Daniel Hamilton, who has recommended your name and you accepted our invitation. Thank you so much. Now we approach to the conclusion of this intensive and enriching academic session. I would like to request Ms. Sarah Benjamin to deliver the word of thanks. Sarah, over to you. Yes.
As we come to the close of this enriching and thought-provoking international webinar on the role of intellectual property rights in circular economy, it is my privilege and honor to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of the Department of Studies in Law, University of Mysore. First and foremost, I express our deepest gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor and our Registrar, University of Mysore, for their constant encouragement and institutional support that made this event possible. Their vision and commitment to academic excellence continue to guide and inspire us. A heartfelt thank you to our esteemed speakers for sharing their time, expertise, and insights. We are truly honored by the presence of Professor Dr. G.B. Reddy, a highly respected academician whose contributions to constitutional law and intellectual property are invaluable. Our sincere appreciation to Professor Dr. Srinivasalu N.S., whose clarity of thought and scholarly articulation added great value to today's dialogue. We are deeply thankful to Sri Venkat Rana, advocate and managing partner at SS Rana & Co., for his practical perspectives and global expertise in intellectual property law, especially in context of circular economy. A special thanks to Dr. V. Suryanarayana Rao, Raju from Hidayatullah National Law University, whose research-driven inputs and focus on arbitration and intellectual property law provided a crucial academic dimension. We also extend our gratitude to Professor Temeschenso da Silva Rebelo Pedroso, whose international outlook broadened our understanding of intellectual property rights across jurisdictions. A heartfelt thanks to Professor Dr. M.S. Benjamin, Dean, Faculty of Law, and Chairman of Department of Studies in Law, University of Mysore, for his unwavering leadership and support in organizing this event. We are especially grateful to Mr. Syed Kudrat Hashmi, our coordinator, for his meticulous planning, tireless efforts, and dedication throughout the preparation and execution of this webinar. Behind every successful event is a team of quiet contributors. We thank all the faculty and staff members who work diligently behind the scenes, especially the technical team who ensured the seamless functioning of this virtual platform. Finally, a big thank you to all the participants whose enthusiastic presence and thoughtful engagement made this webinar truly interactive and meaningful. Thank you all once again for making this webinar a grand success.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much.